is just sand. We'll just be finishing these up and primer by the end of the day. Got nothing new for you, but stay tuned. Maybe I'll think of something. So I don't know how well this shows up or not, but here's the reason we're doing our 320 jitterbug, because we can see some scratches we still got in here. There's a little bit of a low spot right here, and that low spot, when we went over it, it got some 150 and 220 grit scratches in there. And so if you have any of these low spots, we got to make sure there aren't any 80, 150 harsh scratches in this low spot. That has to be 320'd also, because if it did have 80 grit or 150 or what have you, and you shot the primer on there, that might phantom up later. It might show up later. So another reason why we're jitterbugging. Getting ready to primer now, and you can see that I have hit my shiners harder. We've got more metal exposed on this one and more of the black, and that is because we want this primer to, or the Bondo, the filler, to be kind of down lower than the plane of the area here. Now we could paint this if we want, but you can see we've got metal, black primer, yellow primer, Bondo, and stuff like that. So you'd have to shoot a sealer coat on this, and then you'd have to shoot the color on, and you'd probably be okay, but this can come back up and phantom up later. So what we're trying to shoot for when we're doing our block sands is when I get done block sanding this, I really don't want to be hitting any Bondo or any metal. You still will in a little spot here or there, but you won't in the entire mass. Really what I'm looking for on my last block sand is to have just be able to sand it all the way down and to just be nice, even primer all the way across the board. So now we'll just go ahead and primer this stuff up. Okay, don't forget on your bare metal primer, the PCL filler primer doesn't like to stick to bare metal. So we're going with some edgy primer on just my metal areas. We'll let it dry for 15 minutes or more before we put on the coat. Primer is also expensive, so what we do is we put acetone in the bottom of the can, and we shake it all up, and we get every little bit of primer we paid for out of there. Then we'll go ahead and we'll mix it in with our leftover primer, and we'll clean out our cup as best as we can, and we'll get all of that residual leftover primer, and we'll shoot it on something like our bed here, because this isn't as important and it's going to be covered with rhino liner and stuff like that. But I don't necessarily want to use all of my new bitchin' primer on this. I really want to save it for that, and then I'll use this leftover primer for leftover kind of stuff like that. see, nooks and crannies are also a good place to shoot the last of your primer, so you get to use everything you paid for. All right, here is our bed. So you can see most of the pits are out. There's still some, but and this could use, you know, one last sanding before we shoot the rhino liner on it, but it's pretty much set for rhino liner. And the inside of our beds are all set up for rhino liner. You can see that's pretty straight. And our outside here, you can see, is really nice and straight. So let's say, for instance, I don't want to do a high-end job. I just want to keep things nice and simple. Then I could have painted it this time. If this was paint, that'd look pretty good, wouldn't it? However, it is reasonably likely that you would see the difference of the metal and Bondo in the areas. I don't know if you can see that at all. Yeah, you can probably see that. So see this anomaly right here, that can show up in your paint if you were just to shoot it right now. And let's see, I don't know if you can see that or not. So what we could do from here, there you can see something there. So if we want to keep things simple, what we could do now is we let this dry up and we could just do a 320 sand on this and we could paint this and we'd have a really nice paint job. But if we really want to take it top shelf, then we're going to have to block sand it down again. And you know, you're just going to keep block sanding. It's all about the fog coat. You put the fog coat on there, everything sands down nice and even, and you hit a lot of Bondo or you don't. And we're done. See you.